We already know from a clinical perspective that if you set out a path towards a goal, you decide that you're going to do that instead of other things, so that's kind of a sacrifice, because you're sacrificing everything else to pursue that. You experience a fair bit of positive emotion and meaning as you watch yourself move towards the goal. The better the goal, the more full and rich your experience is going to be when you pursue it. That's one of the reasons for developing a vision and for fleshing yourself out philosophically, because you want to aim at the highest goal that you can manage. What you'll find is that as you move towards the goal, there are certain things that you have to accomplish that frighten you, because it's going to stretch you if you pursue a goal, and so that'll put you up against challenges. What you want to do when you identify something that someone is avoiding, that they need to do because they're afraid, you have them voluntarily confront it. What happens is they don't get less afraid exactly, they get braver. It's like there's more of them. And here's why. So imagine you do something new, and that's informative, right? There's information in the action, and then you can incorporate that information and turn it into a skill and turn it into a transformation of your perceptions. So there's more to you because you've tried something new.
At the core of a creative person is they believe there is always an answer. If you don't think there's an answer, how creative are you going to be? How long are you going to hang with that idea? How long are you going to try to work it and percolate it and create it and make it something big? But you got to understand, you can always get a little bit better. You can always excel a little bit more. You can always push it a little further. You can always climb a little bit higher.
You can always better your best. You can always go beyond anything that you have ever done. And so all you're looking for are new breakthroughs through practice and practice. You'll get better and better.
And when you know what you want, you will do anything it takes to get it.
You're going to do whatever it takes. Do you hear me? You're going to go your own way. You're going to do what they won't do. You're going to be smart, and you are going to win.
If you got to the point where you could look at the darkest thing, the abyss, look at that straight and directly, that would turn you on maximum. You're the potential composite of all the ancestral wisdom that's locked inside of you biologically. That's not going to come out at all unless you stress yourself, unless you challenge yourself. And the bigger the challenge you take on, the more that's going to turn on.
There's a difference between being volunteer victims and being in charge of your life and being the architect of your future, because they understand that we are the beneficiaries of the past, the trustees of the present, and the architects of the future. When you're hungry, you don't have time to focus on what's wrong. You're always working on creating something that's right. There's never been a statue erected to a critic. When you're hungry, you are consumed with working positively, moving in the direction of where you want to go. Hold yourself to a high standard. What industry are you looking at? What position are you looking at? What goal do you have? Hold yourself to a higher standard. You've got something unique in you. You are different. All of us are born unique, but most people die copies. One great American said, "I choose not to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dull by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to live from hand to mouth. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the still calm of utopia. I will never cower before the master, nor bend to any threat. It's my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid to face the world boldly and say, this I have done." That's what diversity means. That's what the American dream means, an unstoppable spirit to make your mark.
If you put yourself in a new situation, then new genes code for new proteins and build new neural structures and new nervous system structures. Same thing happens to some degree when you work out, right? Because your muscles are responding to the load, but your nervous system does that too. So you imagine that there's a lot of potential you locked in your genetic code. And if you put yourself in a new situation, the stress that's produced by that particular situation unlocks those genes and then builds new parts of you. Who knows how much there is locked inside of you. Let's assume that scales as you take on heavier and heavier loads. But more and more of you get more and more informed because you're doing more and more difficult things, but more and more of you gets unlocked. What that would imply is that if you got to the point where you could look at the darkest thing, the abyss, look at that straight and direct it, that would turn you on maximum. You're the potential composite of all of the ancestral wisdom that's locked inside of you biologically. That's not going to come out at all unless you stress yourself.
The human brain is powerful. It allows us to build rocket ships, explore physics, and overcome unimaginable challenges. Yet it also craves comfort. In many ways, the brain is a creature of habit. It creates neural pathways that it refers back to whenever it needs to make a decision. These pathways become patterns in our thoughts and behaviors. That's why it seems like we get stuck in a rut sometimes. If you feel like your life is on a loop, you may need to leave your comfort zone. The comfort zone is a psychological state in which individuals feel safe. It fulfills our need for certainty, one of the most powerful 6 human needs. When we're in our comfort zone, we know what to expect and we know how to react. We feel that we have some control over the situation. All of our immediate needs are filled and we feel at peace. When we leave the comfort zone, we're no longer in a familiar and controllable situation. The brain hasn't created the pathways it needs in order to know how to react, and we may feel anxiety and fear. Yet learning to leave your comfort zone is essential. Living life in your comfort zone has obvious benefits: low stress, reduced anxiety, and general feelings of well-being. But it can also make you feel like you're in a holding pattern. That's because uncertainty and growth are also human needs. It's a paradox. Too much certainty, and we won't fulfill our need for growth and new experiences. But too much uncertainty can lead to anxiety and lack of productivity. The ability to move out of your comfort zone in regular positive ways allows you to strike the right balance between certainty and uncertainty. Pushing your boundaries can make you more productive, more adaptable, and more creative. As you push your personal boundaries, you train your brain to adapt to new situations and create new neural pathways that make you a better problem solver, decision maker, and leader. You truly become unstoppable. To leave the comfort zone, you must learn how to control the natural fear and anxiety you will feel when you try new things. It starts with getting in touch with your emotions and transforming your mindset. To move out of your comfort zone, you must determine your risk tolerance. Most people think they're more risk tolerant than they actually are. And many people don't actually know their risk tolerance because they've never been faced with an extreme situation in which it's been tested. To find your baseline, determine your driving force. If your number one human need is certainty or connection, you may need to leave your comfort zone more than others. Those who are able to easily leave comfort zones may have more emotional mastery than those who stay stuck in routines. This doesn't mean that they repress their emotions. In fact, they do the exact opposite. They acknowledge that their emotions are there to guide them. They feel their feelings fully and ask themselves, what is this emotion really telling me? When you leave your comfort zone, anxiety is normal. It's telling you that you feel vulnerable. Acknowledge it, then move past it. Growth is one of the most essential human needs. If you're not growing, you're dying. The most successful people in the world have a deep need for growth that pushes them to leave the comfort zone in search of new things. This is called having a growth mindset. The belief that humans can improve their skills. In contrast, people with a fixed mindset don't believe they can improve themselves and may not bother trying. When you develop a growth mindset, you'll unlock your inner power. You don't need to go big immediately. Start small. Say hi to a coworker you've never said hi to before. Make a quick company announcement. Take a different route to work. Try a new restaurant. Begin to create new habits that turn your ability to leave your comfort zone into something that feels natural and becomes a part of your daily routine. If you want to leave your comfort zone, you must surround yourself with the right people, people with a growth mindset, people who challenge themselves to be better and do better on a daily basis, people who will celebrate your accomplishments and help you learn from your failures. This could be a results coach, a mentor, or a group of supportive friends. When you learn to leverage the power of proximity, anything is possible. Fear of failure is one of the most common fears that hold us back from achieving excellence. When you look at the best athletes, business people, and actors, you will find they have one thing in common. They have all failed spectacularly at some point in their lives. The difference is that they don't let failure hold them back. They know that in every failure there is a lesson. But you must move out of your comfort zone in order to find it.
Decisions. We make them every day. And with every decision we make, good or bad, our lives are defined just a little more, because decisions ultimately shape our destiny. Knowing this, why do some of us continue to make questionable decisions? It might seem like the proverbial angel and devil on each shoulder, who want to sway you in one direction or the other. It's a question of self-control. But what drives decision-making? Every decision we make is dependent on our values. We make decisions that lean toward pleasure. We also make decisions that move us away from things we've determined are not as pleasurable. The need to avoid pain and seek pleasure drives everything we do. People will do more to avoid pain than they will do to gain pleasure. What lengths will we go to? It all depends on our standards and our focus. Better decision-making begins with self-awareness. The ability to identify and express our emotions and thoughts. Learning what drives our decisions is the first step toward total control of our emotions and lives. There are 3 surprising factors that drive all the decisions we make. What you focus on, you feel. And it's what drives decision-making like nothing else can. Will you make decisions out of fear or out of positivity, hope, and love? Will you focus on the past and let it define you? Or will you let it go? Every moment of our lives, we're answering 3 crucial questions. The first question is, what are you going to focus on? Do you focus on what you can control or what you can't control? To engage in better decision-making, we must shift our focus to what we can control. Do you focus more on things from the past, present, or future? To enjoy the moment and build an extraordinary future, you must balance between present and future. But let go of the past. The second question is, what meaning will you give to this experience? Is this the end or the beginning? Is this a punishment or a gift? Meaning is everything, and it defines the third question. What am I going to do with this experience? If you think you're being punished, you're going to react in a different way than if you're seeing it as a gift. You are the architect of your life, and the way you choose to experience that life is what drives your decisions. Many people think that what drives decision-making is a matter of self-control. But studies have shown that self-control is either hardwired or it's not, and it can be depleted. Therefore, self-control is not as reliable as our standards. Higher standards lead to better decision-making. Raise your standards or make a shift in your beliefs and values, and then you will make the right choices. When you have a decision, whether it's straightforward or complicated, you often know what the correct choice is. But what option do you choose? The difference between 2 people who make opposite decisions in any given scenario is their own standards. To write that report, grab that cookie, or not. It's all dependent on how high your standards are. Ultimately, what drives decision-making is also linked to the level of hunger you have. Achievers. Those people who are determined to succeed have a hunger for success, and as such, will make better decisions because their standards are so high. It's not self-control, it's their high standards that pushes them forward. Achievers use failure to push through instead of letting it push them down. Someone on the other end of the spectrum might blame their failures on lack of self-control, but they don't have the hunger or the high level of values to push through. However, these values can be learned. Raising your standards, values, or beliefs is not as hard as it may seem. Did you ever think about where your values come from? They come from other people. It's said that we take a little piece of everyone we have in our lives. You decided to keep the values and standards of various people you like, unconsciously modeling them and rejecting the values you didn't like. Decisions shape destiny. And right now, you may have a set of standards that isn't working for you. You can change them by consciously evaluating what drives your decisions, keeping what works and getting rid of what doesn't.